Hi, welcome. So, welcome to first yoga practice of our self-love 28 day, might be more like 20, do the math, 25-day challenge. So, very, very excited to greet you and start this journey of how we can do more for ourselves, how we could become healthier, stronger versions of ourselves. So our practice today is going to be a little blend of doing various things where we can nurture the spine, nurture the hips, and just get the juices flowing so we can start to become more aware of what it is we actually need for ourselves. So we can start to heighten our own body awareness and click on our own conscious personal trainer inside of us and start to learn how we can create a sustainable way of being so that we have a healthier, stronger body and a healthier, stronger mind and internal environment. That said, we'll begin our practice. So have your mat ready and a block if you have one, or something that you might be able to use that's shaped like this. Books sometimes work. They can be odd. You don't have to have a block. You can have a cushion just to have an extra little prop that might help lift your sit bones up. And there might be momentary, periodic visits from a very cute 6-year-old. It's freeing bugs from inside of our house. So I'm going to use my block and come to a seat just for a moment, just going to allow myself to get centered. I like to take this easy pose, and if you have tight hips, this is a really, really subtle way that can start to open the hips over time. So the practice of yoga, it works if you are consistent with it. It works if your intentions are aligned with something that's authentic, and it works if you give some time for it. So this is a great pose to kind of exemplify that. Over time, your hips will open, and then you can become more comfortable in your seat, which can kind of roll off the mat in many different ways. So coming to this seat, closing your eyes. If you don't have a block, you can sit on a big high stack of pillows. Roll your shoulders gently back, just enough so you start to feel that there's space being created around the collarbone, where your heart is, and just so that you don't feel like you're enclosing that space, just so you can feel relaxed in this gentle opening. Palms can face up for this morning practice. Just be quiet for just a moment. And as you're quiet here, just notice what might come up. And if you like, after this practice, whatever does come up over these next few minutes of silence, maybe jot those down in a journal that you can start for this challenge. Begin to just observe your breath. Observe it as it moves in, and observe it as it flows out. With this attention on your breath, observe as you can direct a little bit more length to the exhale side of the breath. Give a little bit more length on both sides now, both the inhale and the exhale. Go ahead and open the eyes, and you'll slide off the block. Keep it really close to you. We're going to shift and move on to our backs. I'm practicing this first thing in the morning. So if you are too, you want to be aware of what the story is coming from the lower back. So I'm going to take this block and we're going to place it, I'm going to place it underneath my sacrum, and there's 3 heights. So you can also be using a pillow or another mat rolled up, and you just want to have some compression on that sacrum. And then letting the weight of your whole pelvis press down on that block, letting your shoulders get heavy, and just listening right here to the story that your body has to tell. We are going to get things warm. We're going to move a lot in this practice. So taking the time to tune in now so that it becomes very natural for you to be in sync with what your body is saying, with what your body needs. Stay right here if this feels good. If you would like, you can grab the elbows and place the forearms overhead. And just let the space, the armpits open up if you're here. Mijo? Mijo? You can come say hi though. And we'll go ahead and we'll bring our hands down by our sides and press into the heels, roll the block or pull the block or bolster out from underneath you. And you're going to go down 1 vertebrae at a time, listening to the story. Do not draw your knees into your chest. Take a moment here. Walk your feet as wide as your mat. And if you do anything to release the sensation, it's going to be just dropping the knees towards each other for a moment. Then inhale, lengthen the arms, lengthen the legs. And exhale, draw 1 knee in towards the chest. Interlace the fingers, press the knee against the chest, against the ribs, against the entire trunk of the body. The inhale breath takes the legs long, the arms long. The exhale breath draws the knee in. So we're alternating legs. Inhale, we stretch out, both legs, both arms. Exhale, we draw 1 knee in, interlace. Get a nice tight interlace and press the knee against the torso. You will move along with the length of your breath. This is the incredible part about being able to practice with me, but yet in your own space. So if you find that you're synchronizing differently or not synchronizing, I don't care. I want you to find the length of your breath. This is an entire inhale, all that you've got. If yours are longer, take more time with the stretch. If your exhale is longer or shorter, then that's going to gauge the length of your movement in your transition time. This is how we start to become more connected to our own self, our own sensations. And this is how we start to observe that over time, there will be more time in the exhale. There will be more time in the inhale. Your movements will become slower, longer, and you'll start to change and transform. The next time that you have your right knee in towards your chest, I want you to keep it there. And maybe you place the block over or your rolled up mat or blanket or anything that you might be using to one side. Because we're going to take the knee and we're going to drop that knee across the body. So if you have a block, you're welcome to rest on that block. If you're open in the spine enough to drop the knee all the way down, you're welcome to do that. Just a short hold here. You're welcome to pause on any of these movements if they feel incredible and stay there. We'll draw the knee back in. We're going to lengthen up, lengthen long, and exhale, bring the opposite knee in. And then again, you could use the prop. Drop the leg across the body. Inhale, bring the knee into the chest. And then lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms. We start slow. Some of us have a much more positive relationship with the slower essence of the practice. Draw your knees into the chest. Some of us want to keep going. I want to nurture both of those, because those that have the tendency to gravitate towards the very slow style of yoga, actually what is going to nurture their soul a little bit more and take them to where they need to be is a little bit more heat, a little bit more intensity. And those of us who, as I say us, who are drawn towards the heat and the faster pace, the harder, more intense practices, actually need the slower kapha style of practices. So I'm blending so we can challenge ourselves. Let's inhale, lengthen, get super long. And then you're either going to rock and roll to a seated, or you can drop over to the side and come on up. And we're going to come all the way up into the hands and knees. Turning the fingertips now towards the knees. You will see this in every single class that we do. One at a time is fine. I have very splintery wood here, so I try to keep it on my mat. So you can see fingers towards the knee. You may hear, if this is your first time ever stretching your wrists like this, you may more out. If you're advanced in this particular movement, you may be able to get both hands, tips of your fingers pointing towards your knees. And then if you're doing one, you just want to give an even amount of time. I tuck my toes under. It gives me the sensation that there's a breaking point. I have control. If you're one-handed, just take 3 deep breaths. And then we'll switch to the other side. If you're doing both hands, you're just going to stay in it. And then we'll come out, shake out the wrists, plant the hands, round the back, drop the head. You can release the toes back now, and just rounding that spine. And then inhaling, sending the pelvis in the opposite direction, staying strong through your shoulders here, and then letting the gaze go up, moving into cow. Exhale, round. Inhale, let the gaze go up. And one more time. My entire exhale breath is filling the movement. When I cannot exhale anymore, then I shift and I go into the next movement. And this becomes my inhale. My entire inhale breath fills the movement. I love practicing this way, making that complete connection, breath to body, and then the mind will follow. Neutral spine position. Tuck your toes. And keep your knees super bent as we shift up into our first downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, depending on what the story your spine has to tell, you want to keep the spine super long. It may mean that you actually have to work to prevent a big arch in the back. It may mean that you may be really rounded. So some people straighten their legs and then they end up with a rounded spine. We don't want that at all. So we want to try to keep a flat back, and so that's why I give you that option to bend the knees. If you know you've got this pose, you're welcome to straighten the legs, but don't lose that long spine. If you feel you're rounding, feel free to have a mirror near you. Bend your knees. That's going to let you lift your pelvis a little more to straighten the back. Relax the head. And then we'll go ahead and look to the front of the mat, step the feet up. This is a morning practice. So we're going to do sun salutations. Inhale, come up halfway. Do my best to stay in the screen. Exhale, fold. And because this is a morning practice, inhale, stand all the way up. There's nowhere I can put my camera so that I don't have a crazy glare, because the sun is just coming up and it seems like there's sun coming from every angle. So bear with me. From here, let's go ahead and bring your feet together. If you you have the tendency to experience discomfort in your lower back, whether or not you have an injury, whether or not you just are like, what is it, 80% of the population, I made that statistic up, but that has just tightness in the lower back. Keep your feet hip-width distance and always keep your knees slightly bent. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold the body forward, knees slightly bent. Inhale, coming up to a flat back. That means maybe the hands have to come through the legs to keep the back nice and flat. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back. This first one, we're going to use the knees. You can use the knees for the rest of them. Knees are going to come down, then we're going to come down to basically half a push-up. Everything's going to then drop down, peel up the head and the chest, cobra. Tuck the toes, slowly press back with the knees on the ground. And then straighten the legs or keep the knees slightly bent. You're in your downward facing dog, the modification that's going to work for you. Look to the front, step your feet up to the front. Inhale, coming up to that flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand all the way. Exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart center. I want you to stay there. I'm just going to pull the camera back. We'll do that again. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come to the flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, plank position. Knees, 90-degree angles in the arms. Then drop the pelvis down, peel up the head and the chest. You want to feel your lower ribs touching the mat in this small cobra. Tuck the toes, press yourself up, push yourself back. Downward facing dog. We're going to stay in downward facing dog here, so if you want to bend the knees, you can. Talk about the hands and the arms. The hands are spreading, the fingers are spread. You want to see your middle finger going straight. So stay in your pose. Your middle finger is aligned with the center of your arm, going straight ahead of you. Your hands are spread. There's space between your fingers. Your fingertips are pressing down, but so are your knuckles. It's almost, and also the palm of your hand. It's like suctioning your hands. And through that, that's going to fire up your arms and spread out the work. Look to the front of the mat. Step your feet up to the front of the mat. Keep the feet hip-width distance apart if that's how you're practicing here. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Press and rise all the way to standing. Arms reach up. Exhale, the hands into the heart center. We're going to do one more like that. Listen to your breath. I'm going to move in silence. Start with the inhale. We meet in downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, you're going to find a new way of sensing the core of the body, gently drawing the belly towards the back of your spine. Through that, it creates a sensation that you're lifting and you're not weighing into your shoulders and collapsing into the shoulders. So if you draw that navel point into the spine, moving with the sense of, this is our bandhas we're talking about here, then you're going to be lifting this back heavy part of the body, engaging. Look to the front of the mat. Step your feet up to the front of the mat. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, fold. Press and rise all the way to standing. Exhale, the hands in front of the heart center. Bend the knees. Look down. Make sure your knees are behind your toes. Spread out your toes. Place them down. Get a good kind of connection there. And then reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway. And then from here, plant the hands, step the left foot back. Take the hands on top of the knee. Maybe drop that back knee down, reach the arms up. Modified Surya Namaskara B, very modified. We're gonna work through a little lunge variation. Exhaling, bring the hands down. Front foot steps back. This time, if you want to use your knees again, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we're going to go through full chaturanga, which is a half a push-up. Inhale, pull up the head and the chest. The only thing touching is the hands and the tops of the feet. Exhale, you're welcome to use your knees to transition back to downward facing dog. We're going to step the left foot forward. Inhale, reach up. Plant the hands and step that back foot to meet the front. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Sit your knees. Your knees are going to be behind your toes. Reach the arms up. And then stand all the way up. We're going to move through that. We're starting with that left foot, right? Utkatasana, inhaling. Exhale, fold. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, left foot steps back, knee can drop down. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, plant the hands. Front foot steps back. Moving through chaturanga, use the knees if that's going to nurture your practice more. Inhale, upward facing dog. If you like cobra, you're welcome to use that. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay here. Look to the front of your mat, step your left foot forward. Drop your back knee. Inhale, breath, reaching the arms up. Pick yourself up and out of that pelvis. And then exhale, plant the hands. Back foot steps up to meet the front. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. So it's the idea, they call it awkward chair because you're reaching back as if you were going to take a seat in a chair, but you're not quite getting there. Your knees are behind your toes, so if you look down at your knees, they should be behind the toes. And then let's go ahead and stand up. Come back with the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, rock the shoulders together. And take a moment, release. Arms up, exhale the hands in front of the heart center, and I want you just to feel how your body feels now. After having moved the prana, tune in. And then we'll go ahead and we'll take a wide stance, opening up the feet as wide as the mat or along the long edge of the mat. Open the arms up, palms up. Take a big inhale, breath. And then exhale the hands at the heart center, and you're going to come into a forward fold. Plant the right hand down on the mat. Inhale, open up the left. And as you take this twist, see if you can kind of peel up the opposite hip, that right hip. Kind of the tendency is to follow the hand that you lifted. So rather than getting all too much right, left, don't follow that hand in your hips. Try to square the hips and then feel that in the spine a little bit more. You can look up at the hand or you can look down, whatever's going to feel better for your neck. Release the hands down and let's go for the other side. Open up the hand, but don't let that hip follow the hand or get squaring the hips. And then exhale, release. You're going to grab the elbows down here. And then we're going to turn opposite elbow to opposite foot. Inhale, reach the arms up. Take a big stretch to the front of the body. Exhale, opposite elbow to opposite foot. And then do that all the way around, circling. Pressing down on your feet, staying super engaged in the inner thighs. And moving with the breath. So an inhale breath in general in the practice will take us up, inhaling up. And then that leaves space for the exhale breath to take us down. Let's stay down and switch directions. Opposite elbow to opposite foot. We're going to stay down, release the hands, plant the hands, inhale coming up halfway. Exhale, fold. You're going to walk your hands through, and if I can show this from the side, your hands are going to walk through, fingertips are going to face straight ahead. If you're having a hard time reaching the ground, widen your stance. If you're still having a hard time reaching the ground, use a prop. Right? If it's really easy for you to reach the ground, bring your feet closer together. Don't go as wide. Relax the head down. Check the back of your neck. Make sure it's long and relaxed. It's as if you're dumping the contents that's hanging out inside of here, out. You don't need it for the rest of your practice. Dump it out. Maybe a little shake in the head. Walk your hands so your fingertips line up with your toes. Inhale, rise up halfway. As you exhale, bring your hands to your waist. And then inhale, come all the way to standing. Open the arms up, big expansion here. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale the hands into the heart center. Turn your toes back to the front of the mat. Take a step up to the front of the mat. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold the body forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back. Drop the back knee, reach the arms up. Get long through the trunk of the body. Exhale the hands in front of the heart center. We're going to take a twist. So from here, I'm going to give you the option. You can twist, turn to the right, turn towards that front leg. If you want, you can hook the elbow to the outside of that front knee. And then coming back, and as you release the hands, if you have the bind, we're going to hook the thumbs. So wherever you are, hook the thumbs, come back, face forward, reach the arms up, and get some length. Lift through the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then exhale, release the hands, plant the hands, shift the weight into the front foot, and the back leg is going to float up. If you practice standing splits or Ardha Hanumanasana or Adho Mukha Hanumanasana, it's like a downward facing Lord of the Monkeys, you're welcome to take this a little deeper. This is optional. Both feet come together at the front of the mat. Bend the knees slightly. Inhale, then straight legs, come halfway. Exhale, fold. Press into your feet, rise all the way to standing, arms up. Exhale, the hands into the heart center. Let's inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring the hands behind you. Interlace the fingers, bring the opposite thumb on top, rock the shoulders together, and take a seat into that Utkatasana. Release the hands down, come into a fold forward, knees can stay slightly bent. Step the right foot back this time. Drop the back knee. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the hands in front of the heart center. So your twist is to the left this time. You can twist simply the torso, work it from there, or hook the elbow to the outside of that front knee. Unravel. Hook the thumbs, reach the hands up. And this is just an invitation to keep those hands together. Draw the shoulders together. Salud. And lift through the heart. You're going to lift the trunk of the body up and out of the pelvis. Belly comes off that front thigh. Open up that space in front of the body. Release the hands down to the ground. Lift up that back knee. Float up the back leg as ever high as it comfortably feels to you. Exhale, both feet come together at the front of the mat. From here, you're going to widen your stance. It may be that you have to externally rotate here. You may have a squat. We're moving in a squat, so you may be able to keep the feet straight ahead. This is advanced. Most people are going to be with an external rotation of the toes. We're going to drop the hips down. Over time, you want to start to work so that your feet are straight. This is going to take a lot of awareness in opening up the right muscles so that they work together synergistically to support you with these parallel lines in the body. For now, if there's external rotation, that's fine. Just make sure that your knees are lining up with your middle toe, your second and third toe. So that is why we work into the hips. Eventually the hips are going to allow for this kind of even pull so that there's parallel. From here, if this pose is like not in my lifetime, there's ways that you can adapt to this. So you can use a block. You can sit on the block. If your heels are popping up off the ground and they're not able to make a connection, you'll roll up a mat or a blanket and you're going to place those under your heels so they have something to connect to. So there is grounding in your feet. Over time, that too will open up and you'll be able to get the feet flat. Hands in front of the heart center. Honor exactly where you are right here at this moment. Because where you are is perfect. As long as you're in a place that you can find and connect to a sense of ease. So modify, prop yourself up so you can make that connection, so that you can then begin to give yourself or extend a sensation of gratitude to being able to be here. Then allow yourself to detach from that being able to be here and just be present with the essence of gratitude. Go ahead and place one hand down on the ground, take the opposite hand and reach and expand up. You're going to use your shoulder as a gentle kind of levy system. It's going to press on the knee so that the hip begins to gently open. If you have a lot of space here, you may be able to create a bind. That is optional. Doesn't make you any more of a yogi. It just sometimes some people that have extra space need to take it a little bit deeper to experience the same benefits as those that are just stepping into this creation space. So honoring where you are. We'll release, return the hands in front of the heart. And shift to the opposite side. Plant the hand and make some space. If you're binding, you're welcome to bind. I'm taking you into this squat position, and I will continue to take you into this squat position because it really helps us to connect into our root chakra, that sense of being home, that sense that we should feel at home within our own body, and to me a really excellent technique in cultivating self-love. Releasing that bind or releasing the hands, both palms can touch the ground, and then return the hands into the heart center. Take your hands back behind you and open up your legs not to a full extension. This will just be Samakonasana, so it's just same angle pose, and then you can fold the body forward. If you have the block, this is a nice place to use the block to rest the head on. If you're nowhere near that fold and you're more like just here, this is totally fine. You might want to grab a blanket and prop your hips up so that there's a roll forward in the pelvis. And this is absolutely fine. Just make sure that your spine is feeling straight rather than letting any arching and rounding start to happen. So I'll show that. What we want to be is with the flat back as we come down. In the beginning, if there are places of the body that are tight here, that is not going to happen. I don't want rounding. I don't want this. I don't want you feeling like you're falling back. I want you to be able to take the pelvis up. That may mean you're totally upright here and you're not folding forward yet. Staying wherever you are, honoring all of the sensations that are coming up. And then we'll come up and out of it. We're going to take one leg, you're going to bring it in. The foot's going to go into the inside of that extended leg thigh. And then from here, we're going to take elbow to knee, and we're going to make contact elbow to knee. Then an elbow is going to go to the inside of the knee so that there's a little bit of a pressing to keep an external rotation in that leg. If you can straighten the leg, that's totally fine. That's great. You don't have to. What you want to keep is elbow to knee contact, and you want to open the chest up to the sky. Reach the opposite arm up. If you have a lot of space here, you may be able to reach over for the foot, but you don't want to lose this opening, this rotation in the chest. When you reach, if it drops down, you start to get that rounding in the back. We're losing the intention. Staying wherever you are, where you meet the pose, where your body is today, and be there with your breath. See if you can bring back that connection to that essence of feeling gratitude in your body in this pose. When inhale, come up. Go ahead and bend that extended leg. Just take a moment. You take the hand under the chin. My friend calls this thinker pose. I'm not sure if it's an actual pose, but a little moment of contemplation. And then you're going to let that bent knee come down. So what you have is basically evenness in your knees. They're about, open them up so they're about 90 degrees. And we're going to take an asymmetrical twist over in the opposite direction. If you have a half lotus in your practice, you can add to this by taking that front foot and placing it into your hip crease. And then the opposite hand will come around and grab the toes. And we'll unravel. Let that foot slide down if you create the bind. Push into your hands and just turn to the long edge, turn to the opposite side of your mat. And you're going to have one leg extended, that left knee is still bent. Foot's going to come to the inside of the thigh. Pull your flesh up and off when we're moving into Janu Shirshasana. So draw your toes towards you, flex that foot. Keep the quadriceps super engaged, and I'll kind of take an angle with this. And inhale, reach up. Now your trunk of your body, your torso, is going to go and extend over that front thigh. But again, we're not going here. We want to keep the back straight, so that may mean that you're not going super far. On this last few breaths, now you can kind of soften. And just take 2 breaths where you go all the way down. You should feel this through your back a little bit, just shortly. And then come up. Let's take the hand behind. So same hand as bent knee. Drop it. Stay right here if this feels good. You can lift up the pelvis if you'd like to move into rock star. Everybody's going to take their hands down to the front of the mat. This may be the back of the mat. I'm not sure how you started. And then extend both feet back. Plank pose. Come all the way down to the belly. From here, interlace the fingers behind you, rock the shoulders together, peel up the head and the chest. Maybe float the legs up. Engage the quadricep muscles, tons. Super strong legs. Draw your feet back away from you and draw your chest and your heart to the front of your mat. So it's like you're being pulled to be super long, and that is what brings you up into the back bend without actually lifting up consciously. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And then exhale, release. Press yourself back slowly into child's pose. Sit onto your heels, extend your arms, bring your forehead down to the mat. We'll move to the other side. So let's go ahead, come to the hands and knees, shift your legs over, and then come to a seated position, this time drawing the opposite leg in. So I have my right leg. It would look like my left to you if we're mirroring. See what makes the most sense if you're streaming this. Foot goes to the inside of the thigh. Opposite leg is flexed. And I bring elbow to knee. Use the top arm up. Maybe this is my extension here. Maybe the space is there. I reach over for the foot. These are all options. What you want to do is keep elbow to knee. You want to keep the chest rolling to the sky. And that opposite hip should not be lifting too high off the ground. So a lot of points of contact happening, a lot of anchor points, so that you can feel the space where it is intended to be felt. And we'll come up, inhale up. Draw that extended leg in, place your elbow on the knee, and just take a little mudra. Bring your thumb on top of your index finger just for a moment and just hold right there. Take a deep breath. And then release. It's a rotation in that back hip to get the knee down to the ground. And you have like a stairs going on in your knees, about 90 degrees, so you can push the legs out in both knees, and then we rotate into this asymmetrical twist. If you have half lotus in your practice, you can add that layer of bringing the foot into the hip crease and binding with that foot, and my right hand around my right toes. Unraveling out of that, sliding the foot down, and then extending extending the leg, and we'll turn so that we can face that extended leg and fold forward into Janu Shirshasana. Last couple of breaths, you can go ahead and drop down. See the backgrounds a bit. And then take the body up. Take your right hand back. The same hand of bent knee side. Plant it, stay right here. Open the chest if it feels good. You can lift it up into rocks there. And then exhale, come down. From here, extend the legs. Reach forward and then round the body and coming back. And as you come back, draw your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock around from side to side. Take a moment drawing inward. Draw your chin towards your chest. Keep the skull on the mat. See if you can press the lower back down into the mat. Open the arms up into a T. Cross the left leg over the right. And then maybe again at the ankles, this is just extra stuff. Pick up your hips. And you're going to place your hips over to the left side of your mat. And drop the knees down in the opposite direction. Supine twist. Gaze away from your knees. And then we'll move into the opposite side. Release the legs, draw the knees into the chest. Right leg over left. I take my hips, I place them over towards the right side of the mat, and then when I drop my knees in the opposite direction, it is a better arrangement for my spine to enjoy the twisting. And then coming out of it, draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. And then slowly releasing your legs out nice and long. Palms facing up. And close your eyes. So stay where you are and honoring right now that you have moved a lot of energy in your body. You have worked with the nervous system. Therefore, you have really moved and worked energetically in your body. So if it was challenging, if it was easy, is irrelevant at this point. It's the sensations and the feelings and the consciousness that you're set with right now as you lay here in your Shavasana. Take a moment and listen and feel and sense the body. And then on your next exhale breath, let all of that go. Go deeper. Be with that internal environment. Go beyond the physical, the sensational. And allow yourself just to settle on a subtle light that might be present in the depths of maybe your heart or your belly. As you breathe into that space, maybe let that light become more intense, more brilliant. And then as you exhale, let that light diffuse and move beyond the layers of your skin, outward. Every time you inhale, it comes back into that center spot, intensifies, becomes more brilliant. And every time you exhale, it expands, becomes bigger, diffuses across all that who you are. Be with this subtle pulsation for the next couple minutes.